clouds to race to Canberra, then Melbourne. But even without sunlight, these cars reach speeds of up to 130 kilometres an hour. Excess solar power stored in batteries for gloomy days like today. A glowing report on our Olympic progress tonight.
With Joe Hall.
There's a new Miss Australia, but so far is to find enough of that sunshine power.
They look like spaceships, solar cars using cutting-edge technology, but still with all the usual gadgets.
OK, yeah, we've got blinkers and horns, etc., obviously.
Powered by sunlight, the cars had a cloudy send-off from Sydney for their 7-day race to Melbourne. They can run on stored power until they hit sun, but judging from previous years, these conditions have become an unfortunate tradition.
They tell us that if you bring enough solar cars together in one place, you're certain to get rain.
For the first time this year, an overseas car in pole position, a Spanish team rumoured to have a secret strategy. Unfazed, last year's winner, Melbourne's Aurora, worth $3 million, boasts speeds of well over 100 kilometres an hour.
Pretty easy race.
But these cars still have their limitations.
No, you couldn't really take your girlfriend out for a night on the town in it.
Monique Wright, 7 Nightly News.
Well, it's been a huge 4 days out at Huntingdon.
A welcome pat on the back, the annual Sydney to Melbourne race. But this year, for the first time, an international competitor is among the entrants and started on pole position.
It was far from a perfect day for the solar chariots to be setting off on an 1,800-kilometre journey, but battery power could get them as far as Canberra anyway.
We could probably travel the entire day. It just means that we wouldn't have much left for tomorrow.
Australia likes to think of itself as a world beater in the field, but first on the grid after winning time trials was a Spanish university. Team Mediterranee wasn't overconfident.
Yeah, but the pole position was 200 metres and the race is about 1,800 kilometres, so still a lot to do.
We were aware that they've got a very large motor and therefore they're going to go a lot faster, but where our vehicle has the advantage is the reliability and the aerodynamics of it.
The Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology won last year's World Solar Challenge through Central Australia. This year, the pressure is on.
Hopefully this baby here will get us up.
As an indication of their energy efficiency, they can travel 5 kilometres at 100 kilometres an hour on the power it takes to toast a piece of bread. Some can reach speeds of 130 kilometres an hour. They're not taking the most direct route to Melbourne. They're going through Western New South Wales and Victoria, taking their renewable energy message to the bush. Joe O'Brien, ABC News, Sydney.
And that's ABC News.
Race 2000 has finished in Melbourne. Dubbed the Green Grand Prix, it took 6 days for the solar car drivers to make it from Sydney to the Victorian capital. First over the line, Sunshark from the University of Queensland. The team from Darwin, Desert Rose, was a close second, and they clocked a new world record on the way to the finishing line.
A world record of an average speed over 100 kilometres of 107.8 kilometres an hour. A most amazing feat.
The race is an opportunity for young scientists and designers to trial cutting-edge alternative technologies.
And next weekend, the first vehicle to cross the line, Sunshark, a Queensland entry. Still to come in 10's late news, the crimes of a serial killer that will never be. But even without sunlight, these cars reach speeds of up to 130 kilometres an hour. Excess solar power stored in batteries for gloomy days like today. A glowing report on our Olympic progress tonight.
With Joe Hall.
Solar cars using cutting-edge technology, but still with all the usual gadgets.
OK, yeah, we've got blinkers and horns, etc., obviously.
Powered by sunlight, the cars had a cloudy send-off from Sydney for their 7-day race to Melbourne. They can run on stored power until they hit sun, but judging from previous years, these conditions have become an unfortunate tradition.
They tell us that if you bring enough solar cars together in one place, you're certain to get rain.
For the first time this year, an overseas car in pole position, a Spanish team rumoured to have a secret strategy. Unfazed, last year's winner, Melbourne's Aurora, worth $3 million, boasts speeds of well over 100 kilometres an hour.
Pretty easy race.
But these cars still have their limitations.
No, you couldn't really take your girlfriend out for a night on the town in it.
Latest in solar-powered technology. The car arrived first at Homebush in Sydney's west this afternoon after 10 days of racing from Adelaide. Sunswift, an entry from the University of New South Wales, finished second. 4 electric and 2 hybrid electric cars also took part to showcase environmentally friendly vehicles. Organisers say many of the entries also proved they were race-friendly too, travelling at speeds of up to 130 kilometres per hour.
The world's first hydrogen car crossing Australia in 9 days.
The Apollodyne could be the next generation of clean green transport. Powered by a hydrogen fuel cell, the 200-kilogram three-wheeler can reach a top speed of 116 kilometres an hour. A team of Japanese and Australian researchers left Perth a week before Christmas, driving 4,000 kilometres to Sydney without using a drop of petrol.
You have stored energy, so if it's a day like today, you can still visit your grandmother because you then run on the hydrogen. And on a sunny day, then you get some free power, of course.
No petrol means no pollution. The only waste, water that's clean enough to drink. It looks more than a little cramped for the driver. Temperatures inside the car soaring to 50 degrees at times. Hans Stolstrup drove the world's first solar-powered car across Australia more than 20 years ago. He's pleased with the new technology.
That car is basically as high a technology in 20 years as aviation has done in 100 years.
The team's next challenge, trying to convince their professor to develop and try out a solar-powered hybrid steam train. Evan Batten, 10 News.
And that's the latest from the 10 Newsroom. I'll be back with our...
For the designers of South Australian entry NED 26, their attempts to make a quantum leap in design for a comfortable side-by-side two-seater, while ambitious, creates tense moments during scrutineering. There's some anxiety as to whether the car's measurements come within the strict competition guidelines.
No, just that right? Yeah. Oh, that's okay. Brenton.
Headed by team leader Peter Murphy, lecturer in the School of Engineering at the University of South Australia, NED's support team of more than 45 is the largest in the race, comprising a consortium of students from the university and 2 of Adelaide's high schools. Although nervous about competing in their first solar challenge, the students are confident they can finish in the top 10. Murphy, while supportive of their enthusiasm, advocates caution. He knows his young crew will face many challenges as they cross the Australian desert, not only technological, but emotional as well. In both design and organisation, the sole German competitor, the extraordinary Heliodet 4, is a startling contrast. Costing a modest $16,000, Heliodet has been dubbed the suitcase entry because of the habit of eccentric driver Detlef Schmitz, who regularly arrives in Darwin carrying his solar car in a standard-size suitcase.
It is remarkable. There's no other word to say. It's remarkable.
The sentimental race favourite, this is Detlef's 5th consecutive World Solar Challenge, making him one of the few international competitors to have raced in every event since 1987. Detlef knows with his limited resources, he cannot expect to win the event. Last year, he didn't finish. Plagued by battery and mechanical failures, including alarming sparks from the motor controller, Heliodet was forced to withdraw from the race after only 3 days. But every 3 years, Detlef returns. Some say it wouldn't be a race without him. The day before the official start of the race, all cars are road tested to ensure they fit the strict safety and competition regulations. The site chosen for the tests is the local speedway, Hidden Valley, also known as Death Valley because of its intense heat and lack of wind. In the pit area, frantic crews make last-minute adjustments for ultimate performance. The cars face their first real test here. A good showing means a top spot on the starting grid. Failure means out of the race. Once on the track, the crews can only watch their vehicles anxiously, as years of hard work are now reliant on the skills of the drivers. For Detlef, speed is not critical. He knows he cannot match the pace of faster cars. Making it through the course intact is his priority. In 1996, Osu managed a trial speed of just over 80 kilometers an hour. This year, Osu clocks in at an impressive 94.49 kilometers an hour, securing 8th position on the starting grid. Solo cars are not renowned for their acceleration. And retarded by the extra weight of a passenger, Ned is slow to reach top speed. Ned clocks in at 84.31 kilometers an hour, placing it 16th in the field of 40. Although the Stewart Highway is long and straight with very few turns, maneuverability and braking are critical tests the cars must pass. Some overshoot the mark and have to try again. Others stop okay, but with disastrous results. At the end of a grueling day, all cars are confirmed as roadworthy. Tomorrow, the Great Sun Odyssey will begin.
Who's up for some beers?
I am.
That's the smartest thing I've heard all day.
What happens when the world's smartest man meets Homer?
At bright sunlight, the solar adventurers assemble along the esplanade for the start of the race. As the cars leave Darwin, the front-runner's speed starts to pick up, all jockeying for front positions. While the jostling continues amongst leading cars, tragically 200 meters from the start line, the race is already over for some. Like a fleet of alien spacecraft, the cars reach the outskirts of Darwin. In front of them lies the shimmering heat of the desert and a two-lane highway stretching the breadth of the continent, one of the longest and harshest stretches of road in the world. cars are joined by waiting support teams who quickly form a protective convoy front and back around each of the prized solar cars. At the rear of the field, Heliodet labours under immense technological limitations. Low-efficiency cells provide little thrust for the motor, and Detlef is already drawing on valuable battery reserves. He struggles to keep up with the more powerful designs. On the open highway, the faster cars begin to stretch the field, some of them reaching speeds of nearly 100 kilometers an hour. Just out of Darwin, an unexpected obstacle: roadworks. For most cars, the slow negotiation through unsealed roads proves no problem. For Ned, however, disaster: a punctured tyre. Working frantically to change the wheel, the crew can do nothing but watch helplessly as cars pass by.
No, take it very slowly over here, all right? 7 to 10 k's an hour until you get on bitumen. Not more than 10 k's an hour. Ready?
Trial cars, Ned, can you just give us an update on how it feels in there at the moment?
Ned negotiates the dirt section of the road very slowly under the watchful eye of Peter Murphy.
How's that back right-hand wheel spat? Is that scraping at all? No, we can't hear.
For Heliodet, things are going well. Travelling at a leisurely 40 kilometres an hour, he passes cars whose drivers have pushed them a little too far. "130 kilometres out from Darwin, the lead cars reach the infamous Hayes Creek Hill. Not large by normal standards, no more than 6 degrees over 3 kilometres, the slope presents a difficult challenge for the solar cars, which run on less power than that required to run a toaster. To negotiate the incline, drivers have to decide on one of two strategies: whether to reduce speed and remain on solar power, or maintain maximum speed and use up valuable battery reserves. For Osu, the challenge is not too difficult. For others, the pinnacle of the hill is too much, and a helping hand is required.
Just keep your speed going until you get up this next...
Approaching the hill, Peter Murphy, worried about the drain on the batteries, reminds the Ned crew of their overall aim: to drive within conservative limits, not to overextend the car. The important thing is to finish, and not to be defeated by sudden, rash error.
Yes, done. Lead car, over.
Doing fine there.
Peter Murphy's tactics are perfect. Ned makes it with power to spare. While others tackle the hill, Detlef approaches his first obstacle: the roadworks. Unlike Ned, Heliodet encounters no problems on the dirt and gravel section. For the hardy solar vehicle, it's now on to Hayes Creek Hill. The hill is a welcome sight. Having failed to reach this target in previous events, Detlef is pleased his new, improved Heliodet 4 is performing better. But halfway up the hill, trouble.
Halt mal die Bremse. Okay.
A safety current limiter has been set too low, shutting off power to the motor. The delay for adjustments is costly.
Aber rollt wieder.
With Hayes Creek behind them, all teams settle down to a comfortable cruising speed in their race towards the first of 5 compulsory media stops. Catherine. Around them is the desolation of the endless Australian landscape. A lone, straight, hot line of asphalt, luring fragile vehicles towards a rising sun. Ned takes the black stretch of tar in its stride. For Heliodet, blue skies and sun provide plenty of power. Soon the troubles of Hayes Creek Hill are just a distant memory as Heliodet powers forward, passing another unfortunate soul stuck on the side of the road. Ned reaches the first control stop, having slipped an alarming 6 positions as a direct result of their puncture. The support crew take the opportunity to wash down their solar cells, the thickly coated outback dust already reducing precious cell efficiency. Other crews use the 30-minute delay to make minor adjustments and mechanical repairs. With the sun gradually fading behind them, a newly washed Ned with refreshed drivers sets out, determined to make the best of what's left of the day. As sunset approaches, all cars prepare to stop at exactly 5 p.m. Official observers traveling with each team mark the road. The car must not pass this point until 8 a.m. the next day. For Osu, the first day has been without major mishap.
There's a problem with one of the twins.
I don't think Michael likes me anymore. Michael threw his milk at me.
But there's an easy solution to that.
Hey! Look at me and Michael.
You and Michael now.
Day 2 sees Osu take off in fine style. Traveling more than 600 kilometers on the first day, Osu is within striking distance of the lead car, Radiance, which is less than an hour away. The team is working well, combining effectively at compulsory control stops and driver changes to ensure maximum efficiency. Further back, Ned is also performing better, reaching speeds of more than 75 kilometers an hour. Working its way through the field from 22nd to 17th, Ned overtakes experienced campaigner Jonah Sun. Made from bamboo, rice paper and balsa wood, the veteran Jonah Sun finished 28th in 1996. But first-time entrant Ned is quick to show it a clean pair of heels as the sleek yellow car stretches out with youthful drivers and a team growing in confidence. At the rear of the field, an elated Detlef has also surpassed expectations. On the second day, Heliodet maintains an average speed of 36 kilometers an hour, once again covering an impressive 300 kilometers for the day. With all 3 cars traveling well, expectations of a smooth race seem reasonable. But this is soon challenged. Something is wrong with Osu. A quick check is made to investigate a faint rattling noise. The car is soon on the road again. But minutes later, another stop. Osu's troubles are more serious than first realized. Valuable time is lost as Osu's position with the leading cars is threatened. Some distance away, the Ned team find themselves locked in a titanic middle-order struggle, with a number of cars vying for supremacy.
Ned, we've got a solar car in front of us. We're going to overtake this car. Okay, come through.
Caught up in the excitement, Ned and the other cars drain valuable battery reserves, running the risk that if the sun doesn't shine on the following morning, the car's performance will be drastically compromised.
Advise when he can move in.
Surprisingly, Ned performs well, reaching the mining town of Tennant Creek with a clear break on its rivals. Further back, Heliodet is also engaged in its own exciting struggle. Overtaking Sulvon, Denmark 3, Heliodet moves confidently through the field, improving its position from 39th to 30th. But euphoria quickly changes to anxiety as heavy black clouds begin to block out the sun, and strong winds reduce Heliodet's average speed to less than 15 kilometers an hour. While they manage better than others to keep going, Heliodet achieves less than 100 kilometers for the day, dampening the spirits of team members. Passing Devil's Marbles, Osu's motor is still causing Fujita concern. The car fails to reach the comfort of Alice Springs on the third day, and the team is forced once again to camp by the side of the road. With Osu slipping back into 10th position, Fujita and his team decide to take a major risk. They'll replace the hub motor drive with an old chain drive, discarded after the 1996 event. They work throughout the night to effect the changeover, unsure whether the aging equipment will hold out for the remainder of the race. However, having reached this far, the alternative is unthinkable. Meanwhile, Ned's middle-order battle for supremacy now focuses on Jonah's son, who's managed a startling recovery. Incredibly, camping within a few meters of each other overnight, the uneasy truce flares into open combat the next day. With Ned silently dogging its rival. Reaching Devil's Marbles, Ned comes within striking distance of Jonah's son. And moments later regains the lead, racing clear of its persistent rival. That night, Ned camps 200 kilometers from Alice Springs, having opened up a comfortable lead of 60 kilometers from Jonah's son. With batteries depleted, the crew soon busies itself setting up the solar panel to catch the dying rays of the sun.
Drops down to 2 amps.
Rain, the last thing a solar car needs. Heliodet is dogged by heavy weather. The gains of the first 2 days, when Heliodet was averaging 300 kilometres a day, are undermined. The chances of reaching Adelaide in triumph are now fading, as team members are forced to come to terms with weather conditions and the limitations of solar technology.
That is the worst day we ever had in all the 5 years since '87. Yesterday was a little bit bad, but today we had the real hope that gets better, but now it's really bad. You know, dark like this since this morning, 7 o'clock. It's only 70 kilometers this day, but we need 300. It's really over for this day, and the battery anyway will be flat, really, really flat. We have another 6 days, so we can make 400 kilometers per day. So anyway, we can come to Adelaide in time, but it has to change.
The biggest youth event.
Departing Alice Springs just after 8:30, Osu covers more than 500 kilometres on the 4th day, their best effort since day one. The replacement chain drive is holding up well. But despite their encouraging performance, the leaders are almost 4 hours ahead. South of Alice Springs, Ned is now trailing stubborn rival Jonas Sun by almost 30 kilometres. With more than half the journey over, Ned's support crew remains in high spirits. Travelling time for them is a time to relax.
It's in the back of my mind where I do not see. I'm not going to cheap or anything. You lost me after you said hydrocarbons.
The hard work begins at the end of the day, when the students assume the vital role of setting up the roadside camp. Now, days behind the leader, Detlef and his crew are still struggling with the effects of the weather.
Und warte, bis ihr euch entschieden habt, und dann, es geht nicht nur dir so, Detlef.
Ja. Ich meine, im Ansatz, das war doch letztes Mal auch so der Vorwurf von dir, dass ich das alles in die Hand genommen hätte und so.
Tensions surface as Detlef is forced to address the team's disappointment.
Optische Geschichte, ne? Und ich bin halt der Meinung, dass man das auch technisch zum Tragen kriegt. So. Ja, konnte ich mich aber nicht mit durchsetzen. Ne? Das ist, ja, das waren ganz knallharte Argumente mit dem Wendekreis, und wir haben doch immer wieder hier was abgesägt und da hin und her geschoben und so. Das war ja ursprünglich länger. Dann haben wir irgendwie...
But spirits are quickly revived when the team settles down to another night in the Australian bush. Camped within easy striking distance of Adelaide, Fujita is still concerned over Osu's motor.
だけどいろんな発生するトラブルに対処していくっていうのはね、一つ勉強になります。
You know, it's a valuable exercise preparing for all of the things that can possibly go wrong. So it's good for the team to be tackling a problem like this. It happened a couple of times after we got to Australia, when we were doing trials at Kakadu. We did everything we could think of to fix it. We started the race, you know, then it happens again. Back in Japan, we'd seen nothing like this.
With the epic journey for Ned almost complete, the last few nights in the Australian outback are moments to be treasured. Soon, these delightful evenings under the stars will be a distant memory, although the students' happy experiences will remain with them forever.
For John Edward, But nothing is ever dead and buried.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
At the New Times Sunday.
I'm pretty much believing it right now.
A connection beyond belief.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Maintaining an average speed of just over 60 kilometres an hour, Osu glides toward Adelaide, passing through an ever-changing landscape. Reaching Port Augusta, stark reminders of the fossil fuel age, which solar technology seeks to change, signal the beginning of the final run home for Osu. With the winning car, Aurora 101, having already crossed the finish line, Fujita and his team are now focused on trying to eclipse their previous best time of just under 50 hours. But having connected to one of Australia's main highways, the extra traffic makes driving difficult. Ned is travelling well, having passed through the Northern Territory without mishap. Crossing the South Australian border brings a pleasant surprise as they pass their hardy opponent by the side of the road. Stretching its lead, Ned's journey continues through some of the driest country in the world. Idyllic revelry is soon to be jolted. Jonas Sun snatches the lead once again. And the battle for supremacy continues, with Ned's determined opponent refusing to give up. But moments later, as Ned crosses the Great Salt Lakes that cover much of outback South Australia, it has regained the lead over Jonas Sun. Although both cars have now covered almost 2,500 kilometres in a rare head-to-head battle, neither is willing to give ground. For Heliodet, at long last, blue skies. Invigorated by bright sunlight, Heliodet powers through Alice Springs. With pent-up frustrations released, Detlef and his team are now intent on breaking Heliodet's previous best effort by reaching Mala.
Are we from Eldunda now?
Eldunda is about 22 kilometres away.
22 kilometres.
And that was how far you got in the 1993 race?
Yes, over there we stopped, yes. Yeah. You know, in Eldunda, we run out of rubber tubes. That was the real reason to stop, you know. We had always, every 2 hours, latest, we had flat tires. And so we had only one rubber tube left.
through brutal countryside south of Port Augusta, Osu Model S finally reaches Adelaide on the afternoon of the 6th day, only to be challenged at the last minute by Cascade Cruiser. They reach the finish line at Victoria Park in the heart of Adelaide, moments ahead of Cascade Cruiser. Fujita and his team have crossed the 3,000 kilometers in 48 hours, 21 minutes, eclipsing their 1996 record by more than 90 minutes.
Which three little numbers do you dial for a good time?
A day later, an elated Ned crew prepares their car for the final leg of its epic journey.
It's very exciting. We've actually just about made it to the finish line. After 3 years of preparation, we're nearly there. So we're pretty excited at the moment.
5. Go.
Reaching the outskirts of Adelaide, the students return in triumph, having shaken off dogged rival Jonas Sun, which now trails by almost half an hour. Passing through city streets, Ned arrives to the cheers of an enthusiastic hometown crowd. Ned has completed the journey without mishap, finishing a creditable 14th in its first ever competition outing. For the young students, engineers and designers of the future, the memories of the 1999 World Solar Challenge will remain with them forever, a defining and unforgettable moment in their lives. Two days later, Heliodet reaches the Northern Territory South Australia border, having completed 1,691 kilometres of their journey. Challenged by limited resources and fueled not only by the sun but by their relentless determination, Detlef and his team have reached the furthermost point in 5 races. For Detlef, the advantage of working with a talented and dedicated team has borne fruit.
So here we are. Now we further than ever In 1990 we came just 10 kilometers before Mala, now we are in Mala. Up to now it's okay. A little bit disappointing because of these 2 days of rain. We were in a trap of clouds, but now we see that the car can do what we expected. Oh, never. Only small flop, yeah. Okay. Now, for the next 1,000 kilometers. Yeah.
Overcoming all difficulties, Heliodet, the tiny, flimsy solar adventurer, has traversed a large part of Australia. Frustrated in its goal of reaching Adelaide, not by mechanical or design failure, but by the cruel misfortune of weather. But at Mala, as they dream of what might be in 2001, the sun shines and the mango mist tastes good.
Really good.
Wenn ich hier die Hand nehme. Alles genau gegen.
Cheers!
In the news today,
$1 a week to fill up, and that's on his electricity bill.
I don't have to go to the garage. I can snub my nose at all these petrol stations and these petrol companies who are fleecing the community.
But just how well do these electric cars run?
Now, this is the electric motor which powers this motor car here. It's exactly the same motor, and this has quite a smart performance.
Motors start at $1,500 and prices can rise up to and above $2,800 depending on how fast you want to go. All you need then is a set of batteries, a battery charger for the home and a mobile unit for when you're on the road. In fact, you can totally rip out your existing engine and whack in an electric one for as little as $10,000.
From waste product to renewable fuel.
So technically you could be driving on that waste material this afternoon, this evening?
Paul Martin has other ideas. He's been collecting pre-loved cooking oil for years and turning it into biodiesel, an eco-friendly fuel that's suitable for all diesel engines.
I'd love to see this alternative fuel promoted as a viable alternative.
Just throw in a little sodium hydroxide mixed with a touch of isopropyl, add methanol and blend. The product then ready to fuel his beat-up diesel Econovan.
In Germany, it's the cheapest fuel on the market, and it's actually been recommended by VW in some of the new cars as the preferred fuel to use.
But if doing the rounds of the local fish and chip shops doesn't appeal, don't fear. In recent years, major motoring companies like Toyota and Honda have been making hybrid electric cars, offering the same performance as the existing cars with the benefit of less emissions.
I'd like to publicise the fact that there is an alternative.
That report from David Richardson, and still to come, tips on tipping.